Today could be the best day of your life. And it could be that because you happened to listen to this video and you started to understand that nothing was happening accidentally in your life and that you were born to live this extraordinary life and that you wanted to listen to me because I knew that. And my life was meant to be able to tell you that during this time of great change in our world, that you're here to do something really wonderful. And that may not make any sense to you. You might deny it because I did exactly the same thing. But I do know that you were born to do something really extraordinary in the world. And what happened was my life was meant to show you how to do that because I lived that. Wilhelm gave me all the information to give you so that you could live a really great life. And if more of us did that, we would have a really wonderful world. We think that everything that's going on in the world is happening accidentally, and it never is. It's just that we have not understood what was happening because everything is energy. Everything about you, the world, the universe, all of that is just energy and it moves around. And then at certain times, people come into the world and they live lives where they discover things and can give it to the rest of us so that we can live better lives and create a much better world. And then there's certain times where that need becomes so much greater. And that's the place where we are now in our world. And actually, even today, there's an energetic shift that's happening over these next several days that you might feel a little more emotional. You might feel a little more awakened, or you might feel a little more anxious, like you're ready to do something. And you are because it's time for you to become abundant as well. Because, see, you're being moved to own yourself, to love yourself, and that is the energy of abundance. And then, if you were to start to do it now, you would really have it come about because the universe is moving in a way that we're having an eclipse and a full moon coming up. So, I decided that I was going to do a Wilhelm channeling session on that day because that's typically when I receive more information. Information is connected to the energies of our world. We just kind of figure that out as we live, depending on when we're living. But this is 2025, and for this particular time in our world, Wilhelm said, okay, we're going to use Roger and we're going to give you guys this information that can help you know who you are and really create a wonderful world. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I said, no, I couldn't possibly do that. My life was just terrible. I had all these things that went wrong. I did all these crazy things. How my family thought I was out of my mind. That couldn't be. And now I'm 74 and I know that I have every answer to your life. I do, because Wilhelm gave it to me. But I didn't believe that, just like you won't believe something about yourself, but I'm telling you that you were born to do something really wonderful and it's within you. And Wilhelm gave me the pathway for you to uncover it. It's why I call it the solution to your life. It's the solution to your life, and it's also the solution for our world because this is a global change that we're moving through. And so, what I was being prepared for my entire life was to bring this information through. And I had to be able to demonstrate it in a way where you would understand it because I had to heal and I had to move through. I didn't have to, but obviously I agreed to do this because I moved through every challenging, difficult situation that a person can experience in life. And I'm here now to tell you you don't have to do that, which is also what you start to understand. That's how evolution occurs. But I'm going to leave you a few things because I'm inviting you to the Wilhelm channeling session, which is going to be on the 13th, because we have the eclipse and a full moon, so it's going to be powerful. And if more of us come together and understand what's occurring and can raise our vibration, raise our consciousness to that place where we can love ourselves and understand why we're here, the world shifts. Now, I'll tell you, I didn't believe I had all of this. 5 years ago, I was doubting it because I kept hearing that I was given this information that could change your life and change our world. And I said, no, couldn't be possible. Then I went and I had an Akashic Records reading done. I didn't even know what that was. I heard the name, but I wasn't going to do anything like that. But I needed to have something because I needed to understand, just like you do. I wanted to know what was happening in my life. I wanted to know what was happening in the world, and I wanted validation or verification. Well, I got that. I had to go to two different people to get it. And I still doubted them. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And the last one, who was the best, she said, take the path of least resistance. And I knew what that was. And I said, I'm not going to do it. See, you did that too. See, the path of least resistance is accepting your authentic self. And that means walking through every difficulty that you had in believing that you had that authentic self within you. And I do know that. I was never going to do channeling, live channeling, but this is going to be a great one. So I do hope that you show up. This will be a free one. You don't have to pay. I just want you to show up. And it's about your abundance because you're at a time now where the energies of our world have shifted. And if you understand everything that you've been through, everything that you've experienced, especially over the last several years, you will understand how abundant and prosperous you are at this time. Again, it's just energy. So last night I'm thinking, I was led back to, and this happens all the time. Wilhelm does this. You have intuition, you have thoughts, but do you follow them? Do you listen to them? I started doing that because I found it was really valuable, and I get more information. And that's what's allowed me to create a philosophy that I can give to you now. And I also had to prove it. So the healing is the proof that you will have because then you become fulfilled within who you are. So I'm thinking there's something about this particular date coming up that's really meaningful, and it had something to do with money. And as you look at the world today, you can see there's a lot of that going on. And you may not have felt your worth and value in your life at this point because of maybe you don't have enough money, or maybe you're being controlled by everyone else who does. And so Wilhelm said, well, they gave us something else that we could move beyond that when we start understanding and acknowledging the inherent value and worth of each individual. And it doesn't matter how much money they might have, because you don't take that with you. If you've come to a Wilhelm channeling session, you've heard them say over again, you never understood that thing about you can't take it with you, meaning that there's something else that you're meant to do in this world that could be even more valuable than the money. Well, I've discovered that that is about ownership of who you are. And my life gave me the path for you to have that ownership. And more of us who have that agency and ownership of who we are, then we create a very different world because we're not hating each other or ourselves. And that's the work that I was given, moving through every self-judgment that you've had, every doubt that you've had about yourself. Every time you thought you screwed something up, when you didn't do that, you were just learning something that you would be able to use it now. That's what happens. And I know that it happens because I lived all of it. So when I went to look at the thing for the session, it gave me this information. So I'm going to leave these links with you, and there will be a link for you to register for the session. So please show up because I'd love for you to see it all. And then you can check out all of Wilhelm's work as well, because if you want to live your best life and heal and become prosperous and abundant, then this work will do it for you. And that was really challenging for me to accept and to be able to tell you. But then because I became very afraid of it, I said, if I tell all of these people that this has happened, they're going to run to me, and you will not do it. You won't do it. None of us do. Because we will have the doubt and we will have the disbelief. That's why I keep talking about the cognitive dissonance, because we can't accept certain things. And there's nothing happening in our world now that I did not know and that Wilhelm didn't tell me. And most of it I've written about, and it's on my website, in my regular website, rogerburnley.com. You can read the articles there. But all of the Wilhelm channeling sessions have said the same thing. We were moving through this evolutionary change, but it's all energy. And when you learn how to control your energy and how to access the part of you that tells you that you matter and what your life means, you're going to get through this time really quickly. So what I did last night, I took one of the messages that I knew that I was supposed to use, because see, it was the very first message that Wilhelm told me to use when I did the first channeling session that I did not want to do, by the way, and that was in 2021. And it was about power, money, love, and control. And I go, why am I talking about that? Why do they want me to use that? And I used it. I didn't understand it or why they brought it up, but let me show it to you because I want you to understand it. Because what I did is I said, is this connected to this particular eclipse or a full moon that's coming up? And so I had to ask ChatGPT. I've been so blessed, as we all have. We may not look at it that way because we have artificial intelligence. Yeah, it's having me getting so many things done so much quicker and finding information and validating things because that's what you're always looking for. And now you have so many more ways of doing it. When I would channel Wilhelm, there would be times where they would give me a word that I didn't know what it meant. I could kind of understand what it was saying, and I'd have to go and look it up. And that's what would happen. I'd sit there and I'd hear that word, and I didn't know what it meant, and they would say, look it up. And that would be the best advice to give anyone because as you move through your life, you need to validate information that you've been given, and especially at this time, because you could very easily be given information that does not have you own yourself. And that's the challenge that we're all seeing right now. And Wilhelm says, we're going to give you something that will have you own who you are and live the best life possible. The only problem will be you'll have a hard time believing that you can do that because of what you've been doing for so long. That's what happens. Now, but I'll give you this because this is what came through last night. It is always our lack of belief, no matter who we are, that belief about what we can accomplish, what we can do, because it's always out in front of us. This was the message, the original message that I thought last night that there was some connection to this coming full moon and the eclipse because we're moving through a lot of energetic changes in our world and you felt them all. And so the very first day that they, Wilhelm says, you've got to do life channeling, and this was the message. And you will understand it today. I didn't understand it 5 years ago, but it was money, love, control, and power are intricately woven together in your life, so much so that you have difficulty recognizing the distinctions. This very issue is the cause of many difficulties you and others experience. It will take some time for you to decipher all of this, but this is a good place to begin. You begin to associate money with love, power, and control because that is how you grew up. If your parents or those in charge gave you something of value or money, you associated that with being loved. But you also associated this with your parents holding all the control and power. You then begin to usurp those characteristics and begin using them in your own life. You will think that if you give another enough money, you will feel love and experience your own power, as well as control over others. This is never what you are truly seeking. As you can see, this is just a beginning. Ponder this for a bit. And that's where the message left off, and I had to see where was that leading us. And today I know exactly where it was leading us because each of us have had these things outside of ourselves that made us not as important as what we could be. But what this message was talking about was our society as well, and this particular time that we're moving through now. And then I said, well, how do these messages come together? These are on the website, anyadvicefortoday.com, and you can find them there. But as you see, this one, your gift is before you. That means what is within you. There's nobody who has more or less more than you. It's just that yours needs to be developed, and there's certain times where that happens, and this time would be the best time. And then the other message that came through, they're referring to this full moon we're coming up. Your broken parts are revealed first. That's within us individually and our society as a whole. Meaning that as we start to see all those parts of ourselves that we couldn't accept, that we didn't understand, that's what gets revealed. And that's the part that we have the most trouble with. Those when we go through that dark night of the soul, so to speak, and we want to give up. Well, guess what? I walk through all of it and I can give it to others now. And you can have the best life ever. And that I do know. And so as you read through the messages, they were put together and it shows the time. Wilhelm gave me information that is not constrained to linear time, and you will understand that. There are many people who have talked about evolution of time anyway, you will have that. But there's one other thing I'm going to leave you, and please register for the channeling session, you can go to my website, rogerburnley.com, and see the Wilhelm page. And I'll leave the link here as well. But there's something else to understand. You evolve in your consciousness. We all do. And that consciousness changes over time, and different people develop things. And I was given something through Wilhelm to bring forth, and that's what's happening now. And so there's this one document, just so that I'd like for you to see it, to understand how we all, as humans, change. It has nothing to do with where you came from, who you are, your race, your gender, your ethnicity, your country, none of that. It's about you as the individual, as the soul. And it's this. Everything that you experience in your life is through your consciousness, or how you've been learn how you learn to think about yourself, how you learn to experience the world. That has changed over time. You weren't born knowing all of these things. We learned it from everyone who came before. And here is a little description of how some people who've come through over different times and gave us information that we keep passing on. It's all about intelligence, and you have that because you have this thinking brain that you can use to access more information that exists within all of us. It just develops over time. And so I thought I'd put this together, and I had to add Wilhelm to this list after I saw all of the connections and everything that I was given. And it was a philosophy for this new world. And that's exactly what this is being called now. And you will see that Wilhelm continually emphasizes that this time of global restructuring presents an opportunity to reclaim the wisdom revealed throughout history. And that is what we all do. And that's what Wilhelm gave me, and I can now give it to you. You can do more with it because that's why we were all born. Please come to the channeling session, check out all the work and all of the gifts that I've left. You'll see the links in the description here. You exist now to become abundant, happy, and in love with yourself, and that will change not only your life, but our world. See you soon.